All right, so we are going to start this morning with a little bit of a energetic song, get up, stretch. We know it's early, so you don't have to stand up, but boy, does it make it more fun and if you do. So we'll try to help you out at the same time. Whenever you're ready, guys. Move! Man has got this sense of devotion. One look, one touch of a hand can set the spiral in motion. I want it, can't have it, oh I can hardly stand it. Oh, what's a man to do? Gotta get up, I gotta get up, move. Gotta get up, I gotta get up, move. Gotta get up, I gotta get up, move. Starting to move, so we're gonna do a little simple exercise. It's gonna be quick, you're gonna follow along. You're gonna follow Georgia and Deb and I. Here we go, ready, go. Head, shoulders, knees, toes, look alive, it's time to go. Head, shoulders, knees, toes, look alive, it's time to go. Head, shoulders, knees, toes, look alive, it's time to go. Head, shoulders, knees, toes, look alive, it's time to go. Stay Standing. That's a new song by a band called Saint Motel. We got another song that you probably are going to be more familiar with, so I expect everybody to sing, dance, clap along. Oh, don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back. She said shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said, ooh, ooh, shut up and dance with me. We were victims of the night, the chemical, physical kryptonite, helpless to the base and the fading light. Oh, we were bound to get together, bound to get together. She took my arm, I don't know how it happened. We took the floor and she said, oh, don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back. She said shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said ooh, ooh, shut up and dance with me. A backless dress and some beat up sneaks, my discotheque, Juliet, teenage dream. I felt it in my chest as she looked at me. I knew we were bound to be together, bound to be together. She took my Thank you, everybody. You'll hear more of the band later. Go ahead and have a seat. I want to introduce you to today's host. Please give it a warm welcome to Mr. David Ian Lee.
Give some love again to the unnamed assembly band, please. If ever there was a band deserving of a name. Hey, friends, very quick housekeeping on this Sunday morning. Restrooms and coffee are located out the door, stage left, house right. In the event of a water landing, you are all doomed. And if you need childcare, there is that provided upstairs as well. Very quickly, if this is your very first Sunday assembly, would you please stand up so that we may recognize you and get a count? Oh, yes. Welcome. Thank you very much, friends. The Sunday Assembly is a godless congregation that celebrates life. Our motto, live better, help often, wonder more. Our mission, to help everyone find and fulfill their potential. Our vision, a godless congregation in every town, city, and village that wants one. Your program says today's theme is music. As I have nothing to offer you on the topic of music, which our guest speaker Roger will tell you I'm mistaken to say, I'd like to expand that ever so slightly to encompass the arts. My business card says theater maker because it fits better on a business card than actor, director, playwright, teacher, all the things you do in the theater, including patron, which I think is the most important title in the arts. And when I'm teaching, I have this concept that I'd like to use to frame our day, and it's this. All art, all theater, all art is political. And when I say that, my students invariably, some roll their eyes and think, oh boy, here comes David and his liberal agenda, and they're not wrong necessarily. But I back up and I say, well, no, wait a minute. All art is political in that all art either advocates for a political position, a political stance, asks a political question, asks us to engage in politics in some way, or in the absence of doing that, it consciously or unconsciously abdicates to the forces of the status quo. And now my students are really agonized and they go, oh God, politics, right? So I'll turn around and I'll write the word politics on the board and I say, what does this word mean? What does this word mean to you? What comes to mind when you see the word politics? What's it mean to you? What comes to mind when you hear politics? You're smiling and nodding. You Nazis? Oh my goodness. This took a turn so fast. All right. Elections, right? Anybody else politics? Government. Sounds good. What else we got? Points of view. Outstanding. So in the theater, we owe a lot to the Greeks. We get the great Greek dramatists. We get a lot of our terminology. The first treatise on the theater was written by Aristotle in 4 BCE. And we get this word politics. The root of politics is a Greek word politia, spelled very similar to the word polite. And that comes from the Greek word polis, meaning city-state. And at its most basic, politics means the act of community, the act of being a citizen. And community takes many forms, right? You can have an organized community, say a democratic republic of 50-odd states, right? You can have a disorganized community, like the 40, about 5 p.m. on a weekday. There are all forms of community and citizenship that we engage in, and we choose or choose not to obey by those rules. You go to the Kroger, there are rules and politics of going through the Kroger, and there's always somebody who takes 15 items to the 10-item lane, and their political action upsets all of us, right? So politics takes many forms. It takes the form of attending a congregation, or being a citizen or a patron of the theater, or sitting in a classroom. And now my students are in agony. They just want to hit their head on the table. They're all embarrassed that in November they stayed home and played, whatever they played. And I'll say to them, take a look around you. And invariably we're in some white, in all of its permutations, white room, paid for by tuition dollars and some sort of state subsidy. And I'll say, why are the walls white? What's the political statement of the white walls? And they'll eventually offer something to the effect of, because they had white paint. And I will ask, well, why aren't the walls in this classroom covered in rainbows or stars or Jedi Knights? And they will offer, well, that would be distracting. And it wouldn't be essential to our learning. And right there is the political statement of the day, that the arts are neither essential, beneficial, and they're in effect distracting. And then it's not a far cry to see why we start cutting funding for things like arts. But then I'll remind my students, you're not all walking around in matching uniforms. You've got a Death Star t-shirt over here, you get an A for the day. We got a zombie t-shirt over here. We have a couple that came in matching red shirts, right? You are all engaging in political action right now by the expression that you chose to bring into this room. So the thing that I'd love to frame our day around is this idea that as you experience expression, be it by music or a piece of poetry, or how a person chose to engage in the room today, what political messaging, what messages about community are you receiving, and what messages about the negation of community are potentially being offered by the absence of engagement, right? With that said, I'd love to welcome Jen Brown to offer us our reading.
There we go. Good morning. So I found out this poem is a lot longer than I anticipated. So heads up, you may be in for a little bit of a lengthy one. It is actually called Ode by Arthur O'Shaughnessy. And you may hear some echoes of some things that you're familiar with. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams, world losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams. Yet we are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. With wonderful deathless ditties, we build up the world's great cities, and out of a fabulous story, we fashion an empire's glory. One man with a dream at pleasure shall go forth and conquer a crown, and three with a new song's measure can trample a kingdom down. We in the ages lying in the buried past of the earth built Nineveh with our sighing, and Babel itself with our mirth, and o'erthrew them with prophesying to the old of the new world's worth. For each age is a dream that is dying, or one that is coming to birth. A breath of our inspiration is the life in each generation, a wondrous thing of our dreaming, unearthly, impossible seeming. The soldier, the king, and the peasant are working together in one, till our dream shall become their present, and their work in the world be done. They had no vision amazing of the goodly house they are raising. They had no divine foreshadowing of the land to which they are going. But on one man's soul it hath broken, a light that doth not depart, and his look or word he hath spoken wrought flame in another man's heart. And therefore today is thrilling, with a past day's late fulfilling, and the multitudes are enlisted in the faith that their fathers resisted, and scorning the dream of tomorrow, are bringing to pass as they may, in the world for its joy or its sorrow, the dream that was scorned today. But we, with our dreaming and singing, ceaseless and sorrowless we, the glory about us clinging, of the glorious futures we see, our souls with high music ringing. O men, it must ever be that we dwell in our dreaming and singing, a little apart from ye. Great hail, we cry to the comers from the dazzling unknown shore. Bring us hither your sun and your summers, and renew our world as of yore. You shall teach us your song's new numbers, and things that we dreamed not before. Yea, in spite of a dreamer who slumbers, and a singer who sings no more.
Thank you very much, Jen. Our guest speaker for today is Roger Wiesmeyer, who is the solo English hornist for for the Nashville Symphony. And his presentation today is called Bringing Mozart to the Masses. So Roger, I'd love to give the microphone to you.
Thank you all. Oh, are we on? Cool, we're on. Thank you. Thank you for the microphone. Thank you, David, for the introduction. I just met David, and so of course I Googled him. This man has an IMDb page. Wow, in my next life. Thank you, David Lyles, for facilitating this. So before I talk too much, and I won't talk too much, I'd like to play a little bit of music. It's the first half of the first movement of the Mozart Sonata in B flat, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. So here we go. So my name is Roger Wiesmeyer. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a musician. My day gig is playing in the Nashville Symphony, but my joy is getting to share Mozart, especially with people, friends, people that aren't my friends yet. I do an annual Mozart birthday concert. Has anybody actually happened to have been to that? Oh, good. Okay, so we have basically a lot of fresh meat. Well, his birthday is in January. And it's at Edge Hill United Methodist, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Mozart and to kind of engage you with it. And why Mozart? Well, first of all, I love Mozart. I haven't always loved Mozart. Until about my mid-20s, it was just like, oh yeah, I like the pieces the pieces that could kind of break through the, adolescent testosterone fog. But then there's so much of it I thought, it's kind of like when you go to a contemporary art museum and you look at something and you say, oh yeah, my 5-year-old could do that. And I kind of felt that, it's simple, but it's really, is there anything going on? And there's a lot going on. I kind of liken it to looking at a meadow, and you look at it and you say, oh, it's a bunch of grass. But then you look at it with like a mycologist or a bryologist or a botanist or a zoologist, and all of a sudden this kind of monolithic, this monofloric thing turns into this like thing that's teeming with texture and drama and excitement. And so so much of our culture is kind of like a drive-by experience. And so I wanted to kind of share Mozart with you in a more intimate way, kind of engage you and discuss it with you. So the other reason why Mozart is because I mean, and I think I can say this because I started a nonprofit, shameless plug, called Mozart in Nashville. Go to mozartinnashville.org. But Mozart needs help. It's not like Beethoven. I mean, honestly, I've been to a concert of a youth orchestra in a state park in a pavilion in the middle of August, and I heard a Beethoven overture, and I was just covered in goosebumps. It could happen with Mozart, but chances are pretty good it won't, because well, there's a lot of reasons, which we'll get to some of them. Also, Bach. Bach is unbelievably resilient. Did anybody go to the Bacchanalia at Christ Church Cathedral? It was just about a week ago. Okay, it's a great thing. I have nothing to do with it except I love them and I get to play there. It's a Bach marathon. It's 6 hours from like 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock, and it's a community thing, and people go and share Bach, and the food is great, and the T-shirts are great. And so Bach, you can play it on the piano, the harpsichord, the clavichord, the organ, the koto, the electric guitar. You can play it on anything, and it's still going to sound really good. Lots of reasons for that. Let me play a little bit of Bach just to give us a context for where we're going to go today. So this is a Bach, little 20 seconds of an English suite. It's beautiful. And it goes on like that for 6 minutes. And basically, that's what the piece is about. It has an accompaniment, it changes keys, it changes registers, but that's really what it is. And it's gorgeous. And I'm not making apologies for it, but I played it for my mom, and her first comment was, Roger, it's not very dramatic. And I think she felt bad, because, you're supposed to, feel drama is like an essential thing to art. And I said, Mom, it's not supposed to be dramatic. It's like contemplative. It's meditative. It's ruminative. I mean, you have 6 minutes to chew on this theme in different registers and in different, with slightly different accompaniments. And that's the point of the piece. Mozart is all about drama. He wrote his first opera when he was 11. He wrote about 30 operas, give or take. In the last year of his life, he wrote 2 absolute masterpiece operas, Magic Flute and The Clemency of Titus. And I mean, he lived and died by this. So let's look at what I just played for you. So this is the first tune. Okay, now who wants to describe that? Come on, throw out an adjective. Anybody? Chipper. What? Say it? Chipper. Awesome, yeah. Any other ideas? Playful. Delicate. And by the way, there are no wrong answers. We all bring to the table what we bring to the table. So chipper, delicate, playful. I like all of those. The ones that, having lived with this for about 6 months now, I think lithe, I think graceful. He could have gone, but there's this kind of unfolding quality to it that I find very attractive. So we have that. And then so Bach spent 6 minutes unfolding this one theme and chewing on it and looking at it. 45 seconds later, we have the second theme. Okay, who wants to stab at describing that? Dramatic, good. Majestic, yes. These are terrific, and the words I chose are kind of like swashbuckling, kind of swagger. And at the risk, we don't have to assign gender to biology, but the first theme could be called feminine in kind of the way we look at things, and the second theme could be considered masculine. And from about 1750 on, that is what's going to drive most classical music. Your first movements of symphonies and sonatas and string quartets, there's theme and variations, and in the 1970s we'll get trance music and minimalism. But basically, it's about the kind of rubbing together of 2 themes and seeing what dust comes out and it's the tension between those that drives the movement. Mozart was a generous guy, and he gave us another theme. Who Who wants to take a stab at that? Busy? What? Bouncy? Playful. Yeah, I think it's kind of teasing. I mean, he's kind of, eh. And Mozart definitely had a sense of humor. He was also obsessed with hat sizes and clocks, and he was a very interesting guy. So those are the three things we're working with in what we call in classical music the exposition. You don't need to worry about this, but it's like the first half of a sonata movement, of a movement like this, where he's just saying, okay, these are the three elements we're going to be dealing with musically. So the next section, which I haven't played for you yet, and I'll play it for you, I'm going to play the whole thing without stopping when I finish this little presentation. It's called, well, musicologists call it the development. We don't have to call it anything, but it's essentially like a free improv thing. And so we're going to take kind of what we've been playing with, what you've heard so far, and, well, like if you're at home and people are coming to eat and you don't know what you're going to cook, and you go to the fridge and you say, oh, God, what do I have? I have vegetables and rice. I could, like, chop them up and make a stir fry. Oh, wait a minute. We had the leftovers from last night. It's a stew. I could add some broth to it and add some vegetables. So you have a choice of either expanding what you have or kind of chopping it up into little pieces. In this case, Mozart expands. So he starts off this development. That's the tune, remember? But he goes. He doesn't do that. He goes. He tweaks the end, and then he goes down a step. He tweaks the end, and then he takes the part that he tweaks. We arrive there. But we don't arrive there because Mozart thwarts our expectation. That's one of the things that art does. It like sets you up for something, and then it surprises you, and it takes you someplace that's completely unexpected. So instead of going in this kind of affirmative way, he goes. So how does that feel? Suspenseful. Excellent. Any other ideas? Oh,
It's like those infomercials, Ronco Kale. But wait.
yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, and the thing is, this is all for that's excellent. I mean, you know, Bach was kind of operating on God's time. Seriously, this is where the man lived. You know, if you can feel how you want to about religion, but it gave us the Sistine Chapel, and it gave us, you know, hundreds of hours of this genius of Bach. So I'm going to give props where they're due. But Mozart didn't have that. Mozart was a freelancer. He had to, like, impress people right now. Plus, he was also a really quick guy. And so, yes, it's like, he's like, but wait. And so he brings an element of kind of emotional stuff that we haven't dealt with. And then, okay, one last thing before I play the whole movement. And thank you all. You've been terrific. And I knew the few times that I came here that when I ask you stuff that you would respond. That just makes it so much easier. Thank you. Mozart, I adore. He does so many things so beautifully. But one thing that he does better than anybody, this is like genius icing on top of genius icing, is the way he gets from the development, the part where you're looking in the fridge trying to figure out what you're going to cook, back to the recapitulation, which is where we take this stuff from the first half that I played for you, and we play it again, just to kind of say, oh yeah, everything's going to be okay. Mozart does it absolutely better than anybody. And I got to tell you a story. I played Mozart at an Alzheimer's unit here in town. And when I got to the recapitulation, not this piece, but when I got to it in this piece, you could audibly hear people going, and, you know, these people have a hard time functioning. They can't all speak, but yet this music that was written 250 years ago still has that same reaction. And I think that's just a tremendous and beautiful thing, and that's why I founded Mozart in Nashville. So I know we're on a time thing, so I want to respect that. So I'd like to play the whole movement for you, and then I would love to entertain any questions you all have about anything, because I may have said something stupid or forgot a preposition, or maybe I didn't flesh something out that we can do. And then I'm going to stay. I don't have a train to catch. I'm staying for lunch. So if you are too shy, not that any of you could possibly be too shy, because I know this group. But if you want to, you know, feel free to approach me or write to me on mozartinnashville.org. Anyway, thank you so much. And here is the Mozart B-flat Sonata, first movement. thank you all so much for being. Oh, we have a question, and please keep an eye on the time because I could talk for hours. But
You said you founded Mozart in Nashville?
MozartInNashville.org.
Okay, what is that?
It is. There are 3 sections to it. There's the annual Mozart birthday concerts. There are 2 of them. At Edge Hill United Methodist and at St. George's. It's always the end of January because that's when Mozart was born. And then there's something called the Nashville Concerto Orchestra, and I gave David some flyers for that. And we actually have quarterly concerts. A concerto is a piece for a solo instrument and orchestra. And the way our orchestras are structured, you know, we spend all of our lives, people sitting in orchestras, practicing concertos, and then you never get to play them because they want to bring in some big headliner from New York or wherever. And so this gives people that are classically trained a chance to play a concerto with an orchestra of their peers. Nobody gets paid. There may be a love offering for the venue, but the orchestra donates their time. And if you play 3 concerts, then you get to play a concerto with the orchestra. And then I do house concerts where you can invite a bunch of your friends, and I can come to your house and engage you in an even more intimate kind of way. And then the house concerts, you know, depending on, it could be a fundraiser for a charity that you like. It could be a fundraiser for Mozart in Nashville. And then I also go into old folks' homes. I played at Park Center. I was their volunteer of the year a couple of years back. And Park Center, the people there are unbelievable. They will weave stories of what I play into just the most amazing plots that, you know, Mozart would give his eye teeth to have said. Anyway, so that's MozartInNashville.org. Any other? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Soundman, by the way.
Have you heard of the website app called Group Muse?
I've heard of that. I haven't explored it just because between my day gig and now like kind of trying to run a nonprofit, I haven't. But that's like where you go into people's homes, right?
Right. To my understanding, you would, let's say, you know, a small, like maybe 4-piece string quartet
Uh-huh.
wants to play at someone's house. You, almost, it's kind of like Uber in a way that, let's say I wanted to have you and a few string players at my house.
Uh-huh.
I would set up a Group Muse, invite people to my home, people on that also have this app installed on the website in your town.
Uh-huh.
And elect to come there, and they pay a fee, like maybe 10, 20 bucks, whatever it is. Most of that money goes to the artist so they can play and perform for a small intimate setting in someo's home.
I've heard of that. I know that people in San Francisco do it, and I don't know if it's set up here yet. But you know, bringing music to the masses, you know, in a unmeditated way. Is that the word? I mean, just like what you guys do. I mean, you guys get here and you sing it, and it's about the energy. You guys are amazing. It's just like, it was like hard. I was sitting there, okay, I've got to talk, but God, the rhythm is so cool. That anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's been really great getting to play for you all. Check out the website. I hope I see you at lunch. And anyway, thanks for bringing godlessness to Nashville.
No, that's all right. Roger, as we move the microphone, would you tell us the website one more time?
Yes, it is MozartInNashville.org. And yeah, come here at the symphony too. We put on good shows.
Yes, Roger has, you know what, I'm not going to.
I'll take
that. No, that's all right. So Roger, my theatrically trained voice, reaching to the bottom of the thing. Yes, so there are flyers in the lobby for the Nashville Concerto Orchestra, and I encourage you to visit MozartInNashville.org. Thank you, Roger. Thank you. So now is the time in our program for the moment of reflection, sometimes a moment of science, sometimes a moment of silence. Today we'll try something new, a moment of method acting. So go with me here if you would, please. Sanford Meisner, one of the founding participants of the group theater, who studied with Konstantin Stanislavski and from whom we get that dirty word method acting, much maligned, was my teacher not my teacher, I apologize, whoa, was my teacher's teacher. Bill Esper studied with Sandy for 18, 20 years. Then he founded the Esper Studio, and that's where I studied. And Meisner is unique among some artists in that he defined his craft. Part of the problem of art is it's somewhat ambiguous, and who knows what makes it good, what makes it bad. It's all up to you. It's all subjective. Meisner said, nope. Acting has a definition. He defined acting as behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. And once we have a definition, we have a standard of perfection, and now we can say good acting from bad acting. You'll notice the word pretend is nowhere in there. So behaving truthfully, imaginary circumstances. Franco, if I may, you didn't know I was going to do this. Franco, what, would you recite for us, remember for us what you had for breakfast this morning?
I had a banana, I had some coffee made by my girlfriend Dawn, and I had some coconut flakes.
Outstanding. And what did you have for breakfast the day prior?
The day prior I had some, I don't know.
You don't know. But as you tried to, oh yeah, we have a phone a friend from Dawn. Yes.
I had a kind bar.
You had a kind bar, and as you recollected your breakfasts, right? Were you really trying to remember them, or were you pretending to remember them?
I was trying.
You were trying.
I was actually trying.
He was actually trying. So that's one half of the acting component. So for our moment of silence, reflection, method acting, I'd like to do this 2 times round. If you would, please, close your eyes. And I'd like for you to listen and catalog, if you can, every sound that you can hear. Make a mental list of every sound. You may open your eyes. What do you hear? What are some of the things that are occurring around you? Say it? You hear the air conditioner, speaker, bird chirping. I hear the curtains going, right? Watch ticking. And are you pretending to listen, or are you really listening? You're really listening. Great. Let's do this a second time. If you would please close your eyes. And again, I would like for you to catalog every sound in the room that you can hear. But I'd like for you to listen attentively for the sound of the very small leprechaun that lives underneath the stage. Listen for that leprechaun who's singing right now. Do you hear the leprechaun? That's the appropriate answer. If you'd said yes, we were going to go in a whole other direction. But were you really listening for the leprechaun, or were you pretending? And if you were, in fact, really listening for that leprechaun, that here at Sunday Assembly we know is not under the stage, congratulations, you're all now acting by the definition of Sanford Meisner. With that, I'd like to turn you over to Franco Hachiguchi, who had a delicious breakfast made by Dawn and yesterday had a kind bar.
What the heck is he doing? Okay. So this is the portion called Trying My Best, where one of us gets up and talks about a moment where they went through some sort of something. It could be an instant, it could be a long-term thing where they had issues, and how did they get through it? Music is in my heart and in my soul. It'll be my breath when I grow old. My lover, my best. Wait a second. That's not how it goes. So how has music saved me, helped me? Back when my mom got her first aneurysm, I was about 2.5 hours drive away from her. When I got the news that she was in the hospital and we hadn't quite got the word on just how bad it was, I was shaken. Not quite right in the head. Early enough in the day that I could make the drive, but Too bad I was shaking one moment and numb the next. Driving would have been a bad idea. Would she live the next day? Waiting would be a bad idea. I got out my hammered dulcimer, which is what I just brought forward. And that was my main instrument of choice at the moment I started playing. Honestly, can't remember all of what I played. Can't remember how long I played, but for me, music was a form of meditation. And my phone app is doing weird things when I touch it. Whoa, I should not do this. All right. Anyway, so ignore the phone. So I played some of the things I would normally play, and it helped me to focus my rather scattered squirrel brain. Mind darting this and that. Instead of being all the jitters, I calmed down, sort of got to that place where there was just me and the dulcimer and the music that we were making together. After however long, I was then able to get up, pack, think about what I was doing, think about how important it was that I got there alive, because I would hate to have my brother who was flying in to find 2 people not well. And I got in and I went. And she managed to live through that and got better enough to where that years later she got to see 2 wonderful granddaughters from her 2 sons, and more came later. But I'm gonna go ahead and play a little bit and show you what I went through. Right now I'm just a little bit jittery because I didn't think I was gonna get up this soon. That's okay, David. This is part of it. So you got to see me going. So, focusing time. And this is called Enid's Jig, which I wrote for my favorite former girlfriend a long time ago. Thank you. Focus and...
Thank you so much, Franco. And with apologies to Franco and the unnamed assembly band and anybody following along in the program, we will now revert, and now the unnamed assembly band.
Steven, you want to say something about this one?
Sure, I will.
I'll just say this, by the time the third chorus comes around, if you can, just sing right along. That's what this is all about, so. Whenever you're ready. Underneath our colors, our customs and our creeds, and all the nationalities we claim. We're sisters and we're brothers, it's time we all agree. We're not as different as we are the same. We don't have forever, let's all come together. Today is the day, this is the place. We are the new congregation. Keep all the best, let go of the rest. This is a true celebration of life, the one that we know we have. So let's try to make it the best we can. Join in the song, this is where you belong. We are the new congregation. There's a welcome for the misfit, helping hands for those in need, and revelry to keep our spirits high. No deity, no doctrine, we're letting our hearts lead the sweet here and now, not by and by. We're denouncing the divisions of yesterday's religion. Today is the day, this is the place. We are the new congregation. Keep all the best and go of the rest. This is a true celebration of life, the one that we know we have. So let's try to make it the best we can. Join in the song, this is where you belong. We are the new congregation. We're breaking down the walls that separate us and finding out a better life awaits us. Here we go. Today is the day, this is the place. We are the new congregation. Keep all the best, let go of the rest. This is a true celebration of life, the one that we know we have. So let's try to make it the best we can. Join in the song, this is where you belong. We are the new
Outstanding. Thank you so much. So now is the portion of our program where we turn to announcements, upcoming events. I'm going to ask Pat, where's Pat? Hello, friend, to make the first of many important announcements.
The wearer of many hats, but not for long, because I'm about to pass them around. Because we are a volunteer organization. Nobody gets paid, but we do a lot of work. and we share our money. So some of the things that we do, we are helping to sponsor the Unnamed Sunday Assembly Band to go to our a conference called Wonder, which is in May. So your money goes to help with that. Your money helps to go with other kinds of scholarships and to pay for this place. And it probably costs about $10 an adult a month. So it's not a lot to make a difference. There's many ways to give. The hat, of course. And Tanya over here has a card reader, so you can swipe your card. So if you're staying for lunch and you're buying your ticket, you can say, put $10 on there, Tanya. The other thing that we do is that we have PayPal, so you can give a recurring monthly donation. We love that. That really helps us have our finances stable. And finally, there's Amazon Smiles. So if you, like me, buy a lot on Amazon, you can easily give some money just by designating us as your organization. So with that, I will start passing the hat and give things back to David.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thank you so much. As those hats go around, I'll just touch on some of the announcements and upcoming events in the back of your program. In the interest of expedition, I might cook through these pretty quickly. Nathaniel, if I miss anything, where's my friend Nathaniel? Hello. Should I miss anything that you would like to second, please leap up here and steal the mic away. But our spring picnic will be Sunday, April 16th at Two Rivers Park. You'll have a help often opportunity to clean up Richard Lake on Saturday, April 22nd. We'll have a smoop at Georgia and Stephen's house. On Sunday, April 23rd, I have to mention that Stephen and Melissa Cook on Sunday the 30th, not the 29th, will be holding a tea and books at their house. There will also be beer, at least 2 or 3 kinds of beer. I've been told the plural of beer is beers. So attend and learn more about that. And our Help Often Committee meeting at Fondren Hall will be on Sunday, May 7th. I was also handed by Gail Jordan. Where's our friend Gail? Hello, Gail. That the Recovering from Religion organization, of which she is an executive director, has a podcast. And the podcast is going to do an upcoming episode about music. And so if you have reactions or stories of about 5 to 7 minutes worth of audio that you would like to share with the podcast, you can contact her at, for those of you with a pen, podcast at recoveringfromreligion.org. There's no doubt a website with the address recoveringfromreligion.org, or you can meet Gail later this morning. Are those hats going round and round? Nathaniel, do you have anything you'd like to offer? Oh, shucks, man. Tell that to Franco, because I messed this thing up, man. Well, it was part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. Jen.
We are trying to get a group of people together to go do the escape game in Nashville the weekend of the 30th. So if you're coming to lunch, please come see me for organizing that.
So the escape game the weekend of the 30th. If we do this right, we can all go to the cook's house, drink all their beer, and then go to the escape game. It's gonna be great.
You'll never get out.
You're not. Or we could just play the escape game at their house and see how it plays out.
David, we have one more.
We have one more, yes.
On the 29th of this upcoming month, if you look in your bulletin there, you'll find out that the state has purchased my home, and I have to get everything out of there. And I don't want to really deal with it, so I thought I'd just make a fundraiser out of it. You come out there. Some of it's big furniture items. A lot of it is smaller items. It works this way. You come out, you make a donation. I just put that donation in the pot afterwards. I do want the tax deduction, so I'm going to save up all that cash and just make a lump sum thing. So it's a twofold thing. I get rid of the stuff. Sunday Assembly gets a donation, and you might get a deal on something. That's threefold. That's threefold.
And that estate sale is on Sunday the 30th. Is that right?
Is it 30th?
Is it? Well, I don't
Saturdays.
All right. So you
you can pick up your big items on the 30th.
Yeah. So Saturday the 29th. Outstanding. Let me share just a few more thoughts about theater and the arts, and then we'll turn this back over to the band. Oh yes, please, David. David.
Thank you, David. Yes, I have. Here. I'm David Lyle. I'm president of the board of Sunday Assembly.
And the board had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we were reflecting on how awesome things are going and how much we love our community. And it occurred to us that it only happens because we have so many fantastic volunteers. And so we have established a new monthly recognition of a volunteer. It's going to go to the Awesome Volunteer of the Month. And the first one I want to recognize in a moment, but this is to recognize, the purpose of this award is to recognize that every volunteer at Sunday Assembly makes the assembly possible. There are lots of people who work really hard. I want to tell a story though right now. It's about Katie Laup and her husband George. This time last year in April, a group of volunteers from Sunday Assembly made the annual Easter egg roll happen for the third time ever. And I had absolutely nothing to do with it. All I had to do was show up with my 2 little girls, and they could hunt for Easter eggs. And it had been a couple of months that we had not had childcare here at Sunday Assembly. But at that event, I met a woman named Katie Laup, and she was there with her husband. They had heard about this event and just showed up. They had never been to a Sunday Assembly service. And I started talking about where we were with childcare, and she said, well, that's funny, because I just came from this Franklin church where I used to volunteer in childcare and run the childcare, basically, and gosh, I really want something like that to do. And I said, well, Katie, when do you think you might be willing to do this for the first time? And she said, how about in May? So I said, awesome. So Katie and George came in the next month, and they ran the child care for free in May. And so June was coming around, and I started calling Katie to see, maybe I'll work with you, and we'll find a volunteer for June. She said, oh, no, I'm good, we're good. I'm doing a curriculum now for June. I already have it planned for June, July, and August. The curriculum's all done. The games and toys and a book to read to the kids. And I thought, gosh, they're making it easy. Even I could volunteer in kid care. And so 12 months go by, then 9 months go by, and Katie is expecting her 5th child, and George's 5th, and due to be born in August. Vicky is born. 2 weeks later, Katie's there volunteering and running the child care with little Vicky in her arms. People, I really want you to give us a hand for Katie Laup, who has made child care happen for 12 months in a row. Thank you, Katie. And going forward, what we're going to do is each committee on rotation is going to nominate a volunteer for this award. And there is something you can get out of it. You can get a free lunch for 1 month, you and your family, with us here at Sunday Assembly. And then also, this coming NanaCon, and should roll around in March 2018, we have a number of free tickets because Sunday Assembly is a sponsor of NanaCon, and the awardees and their kinfolk will get first dibs on free tickets we have for NanaCon. So thanks again.
Now my kid's upstairs, so I just want to make sure he's okay. Thank you, Katie, and thank you very much, David. So just to put a button on these thoughts about the arts and theater, one of the things we find ourselves doing often in the theater and for all artists is defending our necessity, defending our purpose. Aristotle gives us our earliest reasoning for the theater. He says the purpose of the theater is to educate and entertain. I blow that out a little bit when I think about it. I think that the purpose of the theater is to provide a communal space for the personal to be made universal by way of a little bit of the spectacular. And my students are done by this point because we've been talking about politics for an hour. It must be communal because Aristotle couldn't have imagined that in your pocket you'd have a little device that would let you watch everything. The personal is made universal, and Nias Nin says that the personal, when it is deeply felt, becomes universal, mythological, symbolic. And the way we learn about each other and the world and ourselves is by one person's personal narrative being so deeply felt, we understand that person intuitively. And it must have an element of the spectacular, because we like to see helicopters crash through ceilings and big wrestling matches and fires and drama. And we like to see the interpersonal drama of people feeling something deeply. So that's why I think the theater is essential. But if you use that language, it's not a far cry of saying that the purpose of the theater is to live better, help often, and wonder more. And with that, the Unnamed Assembly Band.
Did you guys have a good time today? Yeah! All right, well, we got a couple more songs and we're going to be done and on our way to lunch. So stand up with us. We've got a good starting now. If you can hear the piano keys that Ray's playing, he's playing a nice melody here. And I need y'all to sing along with him as he goes. Here we go. Whoa! Here we go. guys. All right, stay standing as we close it out. We're going to end with a favorite, but I want to recognize all of the people that make this happen. Back in the back, give it up for Jason Panks and Jordan. Jordan, I don't know your last name, but that's awesome, dude. Jeremy Wells does all of this up here that you see, and he makes it look and he makes it beautiful every single week. Nathaniel Wildstone is crushing it on these amazing programs that David can't keep straight, but no. So then, all of this unnamed assembly band, in addition to that, we have Steven on guitar and vocals, his lovely wife Georgia singing as well, Patrick Horse on the bass, Chris Shannon shredding the drums as always, we have Franco Hashiguchi on saxophone, Ray Dennison on keys, lovely Deb Dennison singing along with us as well. My name is Adam, so we're going to do one more song, and then we're going to do a teaser recording real quick of our upcoming trip to the conference, which I would appreciate if any and all of you can help with us, get us there. Again, this is a volunteer thing, but this is a global one-time-a-year event. They're asking us to do this, so it's going to cost about $600 between travel and airfare and lodging to get people there. We want to get as many people as we can to do that. So you can specify donations to help us get there, and we'll go from there. All right, let's sing. I did it all. I did it all. Here we go. Sing with me. Hope when you take that jump, you don't feel the fall. Hope when the water rises, you build a wall. Hope when the crowd screams out, they're screaming your name. Hope if everybody runs, you choose to stay. Hope that you fall in love and it hurts so bad.